You know, you can't fold in this game. You know, I'm a true champion.
He's charismatic. He's electric. He's got power. He knocks a guy out. He does a backflip.
Teofimo Lopez announced via social media that renowned trainer Eddy Reynoso will now be part of his coaching team. Lopez's father will remain in his corner as well, working with Reynoso, who has guided the careers of elite fighters like Canelo Alvarez, offers Teofimo an opportunity to train alongside some of the sport's best. However, critics question whether this change can reverse the downward trajectory of Lopez's career. Since his intense battle with Vasily Lomachenko in 2020, Lopez has been on a rocky path, with many doubting his mental focus and consistency. Reynoso, while a skilled trainer, is not a miracle worker who can instantly transform Lopez into a superstar akin to Canelo. Teofimo shone brightest at lightweight, where his physical advantages allowed him to dominate smaller opponents. But since moving to the 140-pound division in 2022, his performances have been inconsistent. Critics argue that his undefeated record at the new weight 5-0 is misleading, suggesting he should realistically be 3-2 based on his lackluster showings. Lopez's most recent outings, including a hard-fought win against Steve Claggett in June, have done little to convince fans of his elite status. Matches against Jamie Ortiz, George Kambosos, Sandor Martin, and Pedro Campa have only highlighted his vulnerabilities, with observers noting he struggles even against lower-tier opponents. Despite holding the WBO light welterweight title and being promoted by Top Rank, Lopez's career momentum has stalled. His bizarre public comments have further tarnished his image, shifting the narrative around him from a rising star to an erratic, unpredictable fighter. At just 27 years old, Lopez's career is at a critical juncture. While some suggest his decline is irreversible, others believe that a well-matched fight could spark a revival. However, facing elite fighters like Devin Haney would likely expose more weaknesses.
He's struggling with trying to find relevancy without getting in the ring. I said he had an opportunity to fight Devin, but you keep saying that you want to fight Bud Crawford. Fight with Crawford ain't on the table. Crawford didn't want to fight you, but you kept making this thing. And who was the other guy? And he said Gervonta Davis is not on the table for him.
Haney's tactical brilliance and discipline could leave Lopez outclassed, much like Sandor Martin and Jamie Ortiz arguably did.
He's not had any exciting fights. He doesn't have anybody on the table that he's trying to fight realistically that he can fight. So he's just reaching. Wherever he learned it at, I don't want to put it at where he learned it at, but he definitely has some built-up hatred, towards us.
Despite the judges awarding Lopez the victories, the harsh reality is that Teofimo's side appeal and promotional backing continue to mask deeper issues. Fans are growing weary of controversial decisions and subpar performances. While Reynoso's guidance might bring some improvement, it's hard to envision Lopez reclaiming his former glory. Without a significant turnaround, Lopez risks becoming a footnote in boxing, a once promising champion whose star burned out too soon.
We've agreed our side for Shakur to fight Zepeda with His Excellency, and that's a great fight.
Eddie Hearn has expressed optimism that Golden Boy Promotions' Oscar de la Hoya will finalize his side of the agreement for #1 ranked lightweight contender William Zepeda to face WBC champion Shakur Stevenson on February 22nd. Both Hearn and Stevenson, 22-0, 10 KOs, are eager to make the matchup happen, believing it will be a straightforward victory for Shakur. However, many see this as a tough stylistic challenge for Stevenson, who has struggled to showcase significant punching power and appears less confident since his move to the 135-pound division in 2023.
People saying he underperformed against Tevin Farmer. Tevin's very tricky, very good fighter, and probably a tough style for Zepeda, but that will help him in the build-up to fight Shakur Stevenson. But with all due respect to Tevin, Shakur's on another level.
Zepeda, 33-0, 27 KOs, made a compelling case for himself with his dominant performance last Saturday night, delivering a punishing defeat to 34-year-old Tevin Farmer during Latino Night in Riyadh.
There you go, come on,
While Hearn remains captivated by Stevenson's skills, he may be underestimating the potential difficulties the young champion could face against Zepeda. If the fight materializes, it could reveal weaknesses in Stevenson's game that Hearn hasn't acknowledged, yet possibly leading Matchroom to reconsider their future commitment to the WBC champ.
Let's just hope that Mr. De La Hoya agrees to his end of the deal and makes Zepeda fight, because I'm really going to enjoy sitting next to him for that fight.
Zepeda, on the other hand, has yet to firmly commit to taking on Stevenson. In his post-fight interview after defeating Farmer, he acknowledged the buzz surrounding his name among the division's champions, but remained non-committal about his next opponent. "I'll see which offer is the best," Zepeda said, while hinting that he'd probably face Stevenson next. For now, the Mexican star holds all the cards, with the freedom to choose from a range of lucrative options thanks to his growing popularity. One potential scenario Zepeda might be holding out for involves a blockbuster bout with Gervonta Davis, arguably the biggest draw in boxing today. If PBC and Tank's team present a more lucrative deal, Zepeda could decide to wait until after Davis's March 1st title defense against Lamont Roach to negotiate a summer showdown. A fight with Tank promises a significantly higher payday, particularly with pay-per-view revenue sharing in the mix.
Because what you're going to see is one of the greatest pound-for-pound fighters of our generation, three-division world champion, 27-year-old Shakur Stevenson, put on a masterclass against Zepeda, and you will see something very special.
The financial viability of a Stevenson fight could depend heavily on the involvement of His Excellency Turki Alalshik, whose investment in the sport has elevated many high-profile bouts. Without such backing, Zepeda might find Tank's offer too good to pass up, leaving Stevenson searching for another opponent.
Has to be moving and pivoting. Oh, and a body shot as McKinson's down for the first time as a pro.
Vergil Ortiz is looking better than ever. He's looking like a beast. I'll tell you one thing, he's coming after everybody.
Preliminary talks have commenced for an electrifying matchup between WBC interim junior middleweight champion Vergil Ortiz Jr. and rising star Jaron Ennis, set to take place on February 22nd as part of the Riyadh season event. Esteemed boxing journalist Dan Rafael has reported that discussions are ongoing between Ortiz Jr. 22-0, 21 KOs promoted by Golden Boy, and Ennis 33-0, 29 KOs represented by Eddie Hearn's Matchroom Boxing. This bout marks a significant test for Ennis, as he moves up from 147 pounds to make his debut in the stacked 154-pound division against one of its hardest-hitting contenders. Ennis' decision to step into the junior middleweight class comes as a bold statement of intent. While it remains unclear whether this is a one-off appearance or the beginning of a permanent campaign at 154, the move appears strategic. The welterweight landscape has left Ennis with limited opportunities for marquee fights, as champions demand hefty purses, and promoter Eddie Hearn seems reluctant to meet those financial expectations. Additionally, the lack of star power among the current title holders at 147 has reduced the appeal of potential unification bouts for Ennis. The decision to face Ortiz as his first opponent at 154 underscores Ennis' ambition, but also presents significant risks. Ortiz Jr., a 26-year-old knockout artist, is widely regarded as one of the top fighters in the division. Unlike many boxers who ease into a new weight class with tune-up fights, Ennis is diving straight into elite competition, reminiscent of the old-school fighters who built their legacies by consistently taking on the best. This development also signals a potential shift in Eddie Hearn's approach. Previously, there were suggestions that Hearn wasn't keen on this fight, especially following Ennis' underwhelming performance against Karen Chikadze in his IBF welterweight title defense on November 9th at the Wells Fargo Center in Philadelphia. Although Ennis secured a unanimous decision win, his defensive lapses raised questions about his readiness for the sport's upper echelons. Critics noted that he absorbed more punishment than expected and failed to deliver the dominant showing fans anticipated. Should Ennis struggle in his junior middleweight debut as he did in his last outing, it might embolden other top contenders in the division to pursue him, sensing vulnerability. However, a decisive victory over Ortiz Jr. would establish Ennis as a legitimate threat at 154 and open the door to even bigger fights against the division's elite. For Ortiz Jr., the fight represents an opportunity to solidify his position as one of the best in the division. While his record remains flawless, a win over an undefeated fighter like Ennis would further elevate his status and position him for even greater challenges in the future. This potential showdown has all the makings of a classic. Two undefeated fighters, both hungry to prove themselves, battling it out on a global stage. As negotiations progress, boxing fans eagerly await confirmation of what promises to be one of the most intriguing matchups in recent memory. Subscribe. Please like and comment. This is very important for the development of the channel. See you later.